Hi, my name is Samuel Ballash, and I'd like to present to you my ENCMP 100 coding contest entry, the polite molar mass calculator. When I decided I was going to enter this contest, I had a couple initial thoughts. I knew I wanted to create a functional program for engineers and engineering students that they could use in their work and professional lives. Once I decided on a molar mass calculator, I knew that my ultimate test case I wanted was to calculate the molar mass of a compound like glucose, which I thought was rather complex. To develop my code fully, I created a timeline as you can see before you. On February 10th, I wanted to have complete all my idea and brainstorming so that I knew what my final code would look like and specific goals for each of the three versions. By February 14th, I wanted to have version 1 completed, which would be the basic aspects of the code, so it could produce some molar mass calculation of some kind, but it was rather simple. Version 2, which had to be completed by the end of February, increased the functionality of this by allowing the calculation of a molecule, which has one element but multiple of that element in it, and the molar mass of that molecule. And lastly, version 3, which is a completed code which could accurately calculate the molar mass of glucose, the final test case. The idea generation phase. This was where I brainstormed how I wanted this code contest to work and when I ultimately decided on a molar mass calculator. When deciding on doing a molar mass calculator, I also decided on test cases for each of my versions along with a timeline with the idea of my ultimate code being able to calculate the molar mass of glucose. So version 1. Version 1, as you can see before you, is a very simple code. It is two arrays, the element and element name array. This allows the user to input the atomic number of an element and receive its name and individual molar mass back. Although it is a rather simple code, it does accomplish something which I had decided in my brainstorming phase, and begins to talk about the calculation of a compound, even though, as you can see, if you choose to calculate a compound, you would get an error message, as we were unable to calculate it currently. This led me to version 2, as version 1 was very bare bones. Version 2 increased the functionality of my code by allowing the user to calculate the molar mass of a molecule, which is an element with multiple of the same element in it. As you can see, the user would input the atomic number of their given element and how many multiples of that element are present, and therefore it's a simple multiplication returned to the user. See, this code increases the functionality of version 1, but is still unable to calculate the compound like glucose, which leads me to version 3. Version 3 was where I was finally able to determine the molar mass of glucose using a for loop, as you can see before you. It allows the user to input how many elements are present and loops over that many elements, where in the loop it asks for the atomic number of that each individual element and how much of that element is present. Before I was able to calculate the molar mass of glucose, I also added the ability for the code to give the user a bad chemistry joke, and I also added salutations and greetings throughout the code so that it created a more humorous coding environment, hence the name the polite molar mass calculator. Now that my version 3 was completed, I can start to think about the takeaways of this project. So engineering through this project. I learned perseverance as I struggled to calculate the molar mass of glucose throughout the whole semester, but I learned that persevering and making use of my timelines would allow me to get each version of my code done and progress to the program as a whole. So my takeaways from this project are always to ensure you have a proper timeline with smart, attainable, and measurable goals. If you have small and smart goals, you can consistently work through them and chip away at your ultimate code to ultimately complete it. And as long as you're continuing to develop your code, it can't be a mistake. Thank you for your time today and listening to my coding contest entry, and here are the sources from some of the images you saw.